Hey guys, my name is Danny. The topic that I selected for my deeper exploration project is police interrogation, nonverbal communication in police interrogation. So I was actually really surprised in doing this. I had a really difficult time finding sources, largely because I was trying to stay away from deception and lie detection within this topic, as somebody else already did it. So what instead that I focused on was I did try to find, well, first off, so I did try to find information about police behaviors and their nonverbal communication while they were conducting the interview. And again, there wasn't a lot of information on that. I did instead mainly focus on the nonverbal behaviors and cues that police officers read while they are interrogating and how they use those to successfully interview or interrogate victims or subjects or people of interest or suspects. So first thing is first, nonverbal communication is important for the police officers themselves to be aware of the cues that they are exhibiting, because part of the process in interrogation is building rapport with the subject. They have done studies stating that building a rapport with subjects being interviewed in a police setting actually does turn out to have more cooperative interviews when the police officers take time to do that. Also, that part of the process is very important as well, because this is when they are able to establish baseline behaviors for the individuals that they are interviewing, because they are not looking for one specific tell or behavior that people do to be lying or to be able to tell what they're doing. It's actually more of a cluster of behaviors, but also behavior anomalies for that individual. So when we're talking about a behavior anomaly, what we're talking about is the police officers have established what's caused a baseline. They have spoken with the individual in a somewhat-ish calm setting where that person is more so at ease than being, questioned with a bunch of questions about, perhaps a crime or something. And so they're able to see behaviors that are very specifically performed by that person, right? What their normal is. After that, then they do start pursuing the questioning down the line of, things that they're trying to figure out. And so this baseline is important because when somebody is being asked something that is very uncomfortable, they're feeling the need to do something called a pacifying behavior, which could be a number of things, a double, for example. Two things that are actually a pacifier are interlacing your fingers or popping your knuckles. When you do it together, which is more often done by a man than a woman, that's a double pacifier. So when that kind of behavior is done, it's typically they're trying to comfort a extreme psychological distress. When somebody does the whole blowing the air out forcefully, they're having to physically relieve psychological tension in order to be able to proceed. So police officers are looking for these kinds of behaviors because when they do identify things like these pacifying behaviors, they know that the person that they are interrogating or interviewing is feeling distress at this, and it's probably a line of questioning that is going to get them somewhere if they continue to pursue it. They definitely do have certain signs and symptoms of individuals that they look for when it does come to lie detection or deception, because our limbic system is the system that controls our movements, and we did not grow up learning how to say one thing but actually be feeling something else. So our bodies tend to be far more honest than our mouths are. For example, you might be having the conversation with somebody and you may be being very polite, but you're really trying to get away from that person, and you're vocally and verbally not telling them anything, but your feet are actually pointed the direction of the closest exit. And to anybody that is not trained in behavior, they may not necessarily notice that, but your body is actually dry snitching on you. So, and this actually, in a case of one of the sources that I used, his name is Joe Navarro. He's written a couple of books. He's written several papers. He is he's an FBI agent and supervisor. He's retired, but he's also a leading expert on body language, a world expert. So during a case that he was working, they were investigating a suspect for rape, and the man, when talking about his day, was stating how he walked down to the village and he went left, but his hand pointed towards the right, and so Agent Navarro was able to realize that he actually had gone right, not left, so that he went the direction of the rape, and it was with this betrayal of his body from his mouth to his body, they were able to actually get him to eventually confess that he did indeed commit the crime. So there's a lot of things, like I said, they very much are kind of looking at where you suddenly are behaving weird compared to your baseline, but also cluster behaviors. So, here's the thing. For example, itching. One of the meanings, there's several meanings behind itching. So this is here where context is a very important thing. If somebody is scratching or itching, it could mean a couple of things. Obviously, first and foremost, they just might be itchy. Somebody needs to put some lotion on because their skin's all dry. But it could also mean either somebody is, again, trying to release some sort of a psychological stress, or they're, doing a pacifier. But it can also mean that they are deep in thought. So when we have this one thing that we're exhibiting, this just one behavior by itself is really kind of a, analogous, is that the word I'm looking for? It's a very not specific behavior. But when we couple it with, if somebody's itching and they're, venting and rubbing their hands on their legs, they're really trying to get rid of some of this psychological stress and tension. So at that point, we know, coupled with these groupings, they are feeling very uncomfortable. They're trying to get rid of that juju. So yeah, there was a lot. There were so many behaviors. There was literally 2 whole books from Agent Navarro. But it was just very interesting, and as I was doing this research and starting to pay attention in the conversations that I'm having and the people that I'm around, and it's to consciously be able to have some of this information versus just kind of going off with what I know, intuitively, is really cool, and I can't wait to sort of see what other idiosyncrasies I can notice.